It's always looking great when it comes down here to the EGFC, coming off of a match that made us sweat harder than any tornado could cause a rain to flourish down. We are here with another matchup, the University of Hawaii versus the University of Colorado. One looking like it quite possibly could be just as intense as before. You never know what's going to happen, so make sure you stay tuned in, because I'm username_Intel here, joined by Kilo Miles, to make sure that throughout this match you are informed, entertained, and more than anything, enjoying your broadcast.
Yeah, and this is going to be a good one right here. University of Colorado has had some struggles against Hawaii in the past. And Hawaii, I'll be honest, this season looking better than ever. More practice than ever. And we'll see if that practice, that polish pays off. Going into this, it's going to be the Robin versus the Pokemon trainer.
And I've always liked Gray seeing out onto the Pokemon trainer. They've been doing well. I gotta say, honestly, my information on Colorado is very lax. So this is my education day. This is the classroom that I'm sitting here and I want to learn, especially seeing the Robin versus the Pokemon trainer matchup. We're already seeing that Squirtle. Gray's not looking to just go as fast as before. Immediately goes over to that Ivysaur though.
Yeah, one thing you gotta be certain of is that Gray is consistent. And we were talking to them last time, and they were saying they feel like their Ivysaur is the most consistent for getting the kills, but they actually think their Squirtle is the best, if I remember correctly. But either way, oof, that was actually a perfect snap to ledge right there. And even though they get caught by the Arc Fire, that's why you don't go on the Charizard. Easy confirms like that, and is going to finish off that stock in style. Gray down.
Now, switching over back to the Ivysaur, really just wants to go with, well, the bread and butter, even if they feel that Squirtle works best. Arc Fire is running down low, so N has to be incredibly cautious, not going to be able to land that, as the jukes off the stage managed to work. Now Gray holding the bottom, really just wants those resources to fall through. And the moment those arcs start to be charged, you just run forward, juke the small little blast. Well, play cautious until you get caught off guard, and now it's getting relatively even on percentage.
Right now, Gray is having a lot of trouble closing this distance. They've already been lapped in terms of percentage, and now they get caught on the ledge, on their ledge snap, two-framed by the Arc Fire. That is a hard call out. And I don't even want to call that a tomahawk. That was just a, I know you're going to hold shield, I'm going to grab you. But either way, Gray is able to finally get that stock, but they need a huge Squirtle opener here if they want to get anything going. Or a Gimp. They can get that, but no, instead they get caught by the Arc Fire. Not going to get caught by the ladder, though.
You would think, going with the stereotypical joke of water, Pokemon elements. We do see the Ivysaur now returning back into this, but that sword gets launched across the mile. That Arc Thunder has been charged completely full, and with the Arc Fire landing, it's a good setup for it.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful stuff right there, as they're able to really get a little bit going, but yeah, that game might have just been a lost cause to start out. Gray needs some serious adjustments. It's not the first hard win we have seen, but it does not bode well for University of Hawaii. Like I said, Colorado has struggled against them in the past, so this is Colorado coming prepared, saying, "No, we're not losing to you again." Well,
When times have changed, they often spell out a different way. And I would say, you do make a good case, specifically of having Gray out may have been just a small error of judgment. But if Gray has to change their style to go up against N, how do they do so, especially with a character like Pokemon Trainer? I tend to think that it's one of the most versatile ones, so shouldn't they technically be relatively even?
Even if they are even, there is still a lot of question marks, namely, how do you beat out these projectiles? We've seen in the past, who are they running? Who was really beating out that Robin? I'm not quite remembering, but either way, you find ways to really just smother this Robin. Oh, they were running the Aegis instead of the Pokemon Trainer, and they were using the Foresight to dodge through. However, that wasn't the same case for there. They weren't. You can't just switch characters here. There's not a character switch that's going to save you. What you need to do is find ways to play more grounded against these projectiles, get in, and when you get a hit, it needs to be a huge combo. When N gets a hit, it's a ladder, it's a kill. There's a lot going on here, and I don't hate this either. Give them less stage to space out on.
Look at that, already setting up with the Squirtle, a different pace than what we saw before. Gray may have just needed a moment to get those arms moving, using that water gun, then switching over, isn't able to get the 2-frame, but just look at the change of this momentum for Gray.
Like I said, when you get in there, you need to make every hit count. That's exactly what they're doing. And even more than that, they're actually stuffing out a lot of the hitboxes from N. And wanted that Nair out of shield so bad, that big damage, but they couldn't get it. Now Levin's so broken. Maybe an opportunity right here for Gray to get aggressive, but no, they just get boxed out by these projectiles.
Now, looking to use that Arc Fire, stopping the movement, leads into the Arc Thunder. That book got grabbed in midair. Good job, Ivysaur. You know, that's something super effective, I feel. Though what's not is getting launched off the stage. You're able to freely come back in, but you still need to respect frames lasting a little bit longer than you truly expected. And the kick, the launch, the hammer, the book, everything's going out. Moves that aren't even on Robin's list.
As now, ooh, barely. They're actually. Oh, I thought they couldn't get back for a second. I wasn't sure what was going on down there. That was disjointed enough to hit. My word, Charizard's feet just burrow through the stage. Use dig right there as they're able to get through. And now the ledge pressure continues again. This is where Gray was thriving before, but this time able to get up right on through it and reset the situation. You're just dead right there. There's no way you're getting back from that. No jump whatsoever.
Take a moment. They're already juking themselves, going back and forth, though Gray's not in the best position. They're starting to find that movement, already playing around, go behind, and, well, get hit just by the simple Firebook. Or, as the Arc Fire is more simply to put it, the Ivysaur switched back in to get onto the stage, but N is reading this matchup pretty well so far.
Yeah, they're doing fantastic, especially when this Charizard is out. I don't blame Gray. You need this clutch potential, but you know that as soon as you get touched by an Arc Fire, you're just dead. You're playing a very dangerous game right here. As even as you clank with that projectile, you're not able to quite get on through, stuffing out the Arc Fire with flames of your own. Now you have N off stage. A kill right here could turn everything around, but a rising aerial from ledge is the aggressive option N needed to escape. As finally they finish off with the Thunder right there, and with a dominant opener to this set.
Checkmate.
It was a very good opener. While not with the superior Robin skin, I still will say put on a very superior performance. And I mean, that wasn't even fully charged. You know, sometimes you just underestimate how well those will work. I think sometimes, at least for me, when you see it start getting charged, that's when you start paying attention to it.
Yep, I completely understand that. I mean, but the thing about it is, even with all this amazing ledge pressure, still not able to do much about this. And oh yeah, right there. PT does every single one of the characters has great ledge pressure.
Oh?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. That makes sense, yeah. You're not gonna endure that one, I'll tell you that much. But oh, look
Charizard
at
really... Nintendo really is playing unfair games when it goes to Charizard.
Yo, Pokemon Trader's got to compensate for this damage to the floor that Charizard's doing. The foot went straight through. I guess it's better than having a landing hitbox, but still. Wow. What a disjoint right there. But even then, even with Pokemon Trainer's non-disjointed hitboxes, it still wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough to box out against a practiced Robin like N, who was going to start out University of Colorado with 6 points on the board. And if there's one thing I know about the University of Colorado, they're so good at playing for those points when they need to the most. I know they like to send in people like AIV last, AIV on the Ike extraordinarily consistent. And AIV, they will just play exactly the game they need to play. If all they need to do is avoid getting 2-stock, that's what they'll do.
It's pretty fair, and honestly, that makes me, I think, more worried to see that matchup, because if that's true, then what is possible? What if they get told to just 3-stock? Is that... I feel that's now possibly in the ring, but Cardlish is the one who's going to be chosen for this round.
Alright. We have AIV going to Endure. So AIV is Endure. Hey, thanks for the heads up, AIV. Or, no, hold on. Endure. As we, yeah, Endure on the Ike, which, again, very fitting right there, as we, as we see, Carlish against Pyro. I haven't seen Carlish quite yet, but Pyro I have, and Pyro, traps upon traps upon traps upon confirms. They make the clay pigeons, those white frisbees, look like the arc fires, look like PK fire, with how they set up for amazing kill setups.
I think Pyro is one of those players that always leaves a name in my head. I may not fully remember everything, but something about Pyro has just left a memory. Pyro did something back in the day that must have caused me to remember it. I think it's just the performance level.
It's also the uniqueness of their play. Not many people pilot the duck hunt like them. Not many people pilot the duck hunt at all. And so, when you're up against a specialist of this caliber, you have to be aware. It's like, you remember what I was saying earlier about a Steve on the ledge? That's what all trap characters play like. It's like when you're up against those chess simulations, there is one correct move. You set up a trap and there is one correct move. And it's not always as much, there's not always as much like, there is one correct move here. That's not how Duck Hunt plays, but it's more, they cover a variety of angles. They will use the can to cover diagonal up. They will use the shooters, the gunmen, to cover straight horizontal, and they themselves will try and fill in any blank space that they leave. And it's not perfect coverage, but it's very adaptable to whatever the situation is.
Everything's awakening inside my mind, and you're absolutely right. And I think when it goes down to Pyro, I'm starting to remember more and more of how Pyro uses it. And Pyro never uses it the same way in a row, which is impressive, especially with a move that can sometimes be seen as linear yet so versatile. You can throw that can as far as you want, as long as you want. Eventually it'll land, and especially with your men to kind of follow you back, the Duck Hunt has been a performance that I've not been used to be seeing, and yet, even if I forget it, a part of my mind always fears knowing that it's going to be coming out. But Hawaii, and you know, we're going over to PS2, quite possibly, or rather Smashville, so it's either one or the other. How does that look? Because the Duck Hunt still looks pretty strong.
Yeah. I feel like the fact that they want to strike means that, I mean, there are definitely some stages that favor Duck Hunt more. What I do know about Duck Hunt specialists, I had a friend who was a Duck Hunt specialist, nowhere near Pyro's caliber, but everything is stage specific. What is the shape of the ledges? How often do the platforms move? Stuff like that. Like, moving platforms with trap characters in particular can be a deadly thing, because then you have a mobile trap. And Town and City is off the table right here, as, yeah, we are just going to PS2 in the long run anyways. So, again, very even stage. We've talked about it before, remember?
I do quite remember. It rings a bell to my mind, but, you know, the audience may not always remember. You want to tell that story for a third time?
Yeah, so PS2, The reason it's so even is because of the two platforms. Control of the platform is so important to your neutral game in Ultimate because of the safety a platform provides above you. It's even more important than center stage, in my opinion. And in that limited gaze, the way PS2 is neutral is both players start out with control of one of those platforms, and it's very easy to retake control of one of those platforms. Additionally, center stage isn't dominated by a looming top platform that can lead to more extensions. No, it is just going to be an open no man's land between those two platforms where we're probably going to see a volley exchanged. Just like the no man's land of the trenches of World War I, you need to cross through the gunman, through the can, through the explosive in order to get a crack at this duck hunt dog.
They're now pushing forward. Always love hearing that Pokemon music. Makes a difference. It always sets the mood. But the Terry is looking to just mess around. The can's already being thrown out. Being able to dodge these guns are going to be working forward. The Carlish is still never mind. Being in the air, that was your biggest weakness. It seems that that's what Pyro was looking for. And now you're not even getting close.
Yeah, relatively even percents at the moment, but I do like the way Carlish is staying very grounded, which is, I mean, how you gotta be with a lot of these FGC characters is, double down tilt right there. Pyro not able to escape that, not at this percent, but giving a lot of respect to that can, just waiting, seeing what they're doing with it, waiting for them to deploy something else with the B button and then dash attacking it, giving you the opening you need to find that kill.
See? Ken going out. We're getting close. That's around 40% until we get Carlish own. What's that? Oh my! I couldn't even react to it.
I think they're trying to DI out to avoid any sort of follow-up, but instead of getting stage spiked, they just straight up got spiked. And now you're down a clean 2 stocks to 1. Carlish has go. There's opportunity for massive conversions if they land one opening. That down tilt right there, not going to lead to much. Ooh. It's terrifying, but they call out that shield drop.
If there's anything I've learned when going up against a Terry player, force them off the stage. You gotta kill them before that go can be put to good use. Because if there's anything they know how to do, it's set it up correctly. That's why these players pick characters like that. And, well, you just jumped up in the air. That was your first mistake, and the second mistake was ever letting Carlish get away with the 3 stock for the future. What an interesting matchup as we see Pyro not gonna be taking it.
Yeah, that match went by in the blink of the eye. Luckily, we have these replays as yet another call out with that, I'm blanking on that power geyser, but either way, yeah, that was a jump call out. Could we see what percent they're at when they got spiked right there in a second? Oof, because that right there, like, that was a tone setter. The first stock, it was pretty even. But yeah, 39%. They were trying to come down and just get a trade, get back into neutral, and Carlish just smacks him out of the sky and sends him straight down. Those diagonal spikes, I think they might be even more deadly than regular spikes in most scenarios.
Huh. I have to do my due diligence on that. Especially. So, now we're looking at, I mean, the Terry. I don't think Terry's a matchup I've seen against the Duck Hunt just yet. So what makes the Terry specifically so different when going up against a character like the Duck Hunt?
Against any sort of zoner, you need to have a terrific punish game. And even though Duck Hunt isn't a traditional straight zoner, they still function the same way. You need to get in, hit hard, and, well, yeah, you just need to get in and hit hard and be confident in your punishes, in your conversions. Know that you're going to get the damage you are striving for. Because otherwise, you're winning neutral for like 20%. That's not worth anything. It's clear that Carlish has that. Terry is a perfect character for making sure your punish game is on point, controlling this ground game. And even though it is tough to navigate the ground, they seem to have a good knowledge of how to beat out the can, how to beat out the gunman with these power geysers. With these crack shoots, they're able to approach without necessarily setting off a lot of the traps.
And hey, if there's anything that should be a big plus sign to looking, it's the fact that Pyro's way to play is no longer viable, and now you've got to think quickly of how to change it up easily. Just managing to dodge out Pyro now off the stage. Does have the can, just as a setup, even if that slam doesn't manage to break it. The shield management is what's being more paid attention to, but unfortunately Carlos has now fallen into the trap of the can.
Yeah, this... Ooh, I actually love that. You're able to use the can as a little bit of a burst option right there. A downwards diagonal projectile on up. You tried to ledge trap Duck Hunt? No! As they're finally able to start using this can to stuff out Carlish instead of just being batted away. Honestly, before the next time we see Pyra, I need to do a little more research on what kind of damage sets off the can and what doesn't. Because I feel like sometimes Carlish is just able to dash tech the can, but this stock, they have just been, well, completely, it's just been exploding every time they've touched it. As the gunman controls the ground right there, prevents them from getting onto stage. Now, the can isn't deployed right now, so they do actually have an opportunity. Oh, they just duck under everything using their tech animation? Huh.
You know, you just gotta respect understanding the smaller parts. I just like how much they are trying to avoid the can. Though they do have their go, they're not in the best position to be able to use it. We see the moment they get close, the can gets thrown out, and, well, they start not looking too good. But they are forcing the Duck Hunt to have to play very cautiously thrown out, able to hit them in the air. But there is very little room for setup, right, Kilo?
Yeah, I mean, with this pace that Carlish is approaching at, Pyro doesn't have the opportunity to fish for a lot of their more elaborate clay pigeon setups and whatnot, especially on Town and City. They have a lot of different... Ooh, I love that, though. I love that misleading, the art of misdirection. They send the can in at a horizontal angle. They're like, jump, you want to jump over this? You want to jump over this? And then they immediately call out the jump that they just forced.
Now, though you managed to find...
Look at it! Going user!
It's not going anymore, but that did more than enough damage to be considered close to that kill percentage, or quite in it. We see as the can is eventually broken, and this poor Terry's going to be thrown off. Almost lit with that 2-frame!
It wasn't even that. Carlish was a little bit aggressive going above that ledge right there. And Terry doesn't snap to ledge with a lot of his special moves. One of his worst attributes when trying to recover. And that is something you have to keep in mind, as the back air will send you off stage. Nice little poking tool, the clay pigeon. Oh, tried to cover that air dodge in, but the down smash, just the hitbox was not quite high enough. Ooh. Burning knuckle right into that can, not going to survive. The can up there, assisting in the juggle. Carlish cannot get their feet on the ground.
They just have to look to try to find something different. They do want to make that slam in. They barely dodge out that can, but Pyro, living up to the Duck Hunt name, is just smiling away as they throw it, get it a little farther, and then immediately trade spots. Always so that it's in a good spot to where they can kick it. Carlish has the go, but not even in a room. Maybe you just launch it, maybe you just throw it, or maybe Pyro's just gonna be throwing out the can and you'll accidentally get hit again.
He's now going for these power geysers at ledge, just shielding that second one. Pyro is more than happy to just play this lead. You need as many stocks as possible to begin University of Hawaii's comeback. So hey, do not give up anything unnecessary. That shield's going awful low, though. I don't want to be playing around with Terry for too long with that, as now that can... Oh, that's messing with the... Ooh. Speaking of being messed with, trying to just go for that aggressive up B. I like it. It is a committal all-or-nothing option. However, you're just going to get nothing for it. Duck Hunt is going to be... Or Pyro, rather, is going to be finishing you off right there, baiting you in by throwing out that can and then finishing you off just reacting with that up smash. Perfect. Nice and easy.
Very nice and easy. And I gotta say, Pyro, really good adaptation. Maybe, no, not even just the mapping, but Pyro doing very well to figure out how to go up against the Terry we saw from before. That was a 3-stock, but now Pyro kind of takes that with 2, might go in with 3 next round. Or what is Carlish really got to be doing? Because they just did not have the opportunity. You know, when you had a moment to explain why that Duck Hunt was doing kind of iffy, why is the Terry now doing a bit iffy?
Remember what I said about the punish game? Oh,
Yeah.
that little bit of spacing. I feel like this isn't strict punish. It's more advantage. What Pyro is doing is they are forcing movement options. What we just saw right there is they throw the can out, they force the Burning Knuckle, they control where Terry is going to be, and then they punish that movement option. Earlier, we saw them throw out the can, let's see, forces the Burning Knuckle early, and then they get that. Because if they had waited, if they had tried to go for the ledge snap, then they would have gotten hit by the can. Earlier, we saw them put the can diagonal up, forcing a jump, and then the up air killed. They control where Terry is going to move to, and then put a hitbox there right as they... it's not necessarily conditioning so much as it is... think of like a sheep herding dog. You're just sort of corralling them into the general area where you want them to be, and then that's where you place your duck.
Yep. And now when it goes into the third round, punish game is what I want to heavily pay attention to, because I want to see who's going to be landing it a little bit more than anything. But how should you see him coming out? Because we've had one round where the duck hunt was good, one round where the Terry's good, especially depending on the map pick. Does the duck hunt have the room and the momentum to bring it in?
I mean, that's something we can only see with time, user, as we need to be... I mean, how many times have we seen people trade back and forth, and then the last third game is just a slobber knocker? Either way, University of Colorado holds the lead, but, is that enough? Like, you don't want to give up anything to the University of Hawaii. We've been told in the past that University of Hawaii does not like playing with a deficit. So if Pyro is able to get a bunch of points on the board right here, they're going to be feeling a lot better going into the latter half of this final match of the night.
Well, you are true. I mean, this is only the second round, so going into the third, you have a lot of expectations when it comes to that, but these players are now ready to show us who is going to be taking the score line right on to Battlefield. I wouldn't say too similar to Town, but not PS2 anyways. We do see them already starting to throw out the projectiles, trying to do as best as they can, but Pyro's just playing the distance, playing the game, and look at that poor can taking more hits than any of the players ever will.
Tried to slow the pace of the game down a bit right there, but it wasn't enough to quite save you from the wrath of Duck Hunt, because again, Duck Hunt can get aggressive with the can because it doesn't really matter for them. It's not like they're putting their own body at risk. As Carlish now is stuck above this Duck Hunt, they shield through one up air, but they're not ready for the second multi-hit to call out their jump. Again, yet another example of Pyro controlling their movement. They pressure them one place, they wait for them to jump, then they catch them there.
Now, with this already going out, being launched through, that go is there. One good geyser could send this, well, not home, but at least to a very high kill percentage. But it seems that Pyro already has that objective. May end up getting hit by your own attack accidentally, but hey, it works out to good degrees. Now you have the spacing, you have the room, and you have the can once more to be able to throw through.
Yeah, that can. It's a major threat. You got to be very well aware of it. But the other major threat is the fact that Carlish has go, but they don't seem antsy. They don't seem scared. Instead, they're just waiting out here, knowing that that isn't true, just air dodging through that follow-up, but knowing that, hey, if Carlish knows that air dodge is coming, they're going to punish it. Go is now gone as they're off the top. Pyro takes the lead.
The good statement to make. Now you really got to just look for this confirm, but it's hard. I mean, we keep talking about it, but look at this. The can gets thrown off, but then a second later, you just throw it to the end of the stage. You just wait for that to end, and then 3 seconds later, well, no, you don't really go for it. So, unfortunately, making me look a little bit goofy, but you are still playing that distance game. Look at that. The can now goes out, and you're just making so much room. Carlish is getting mad. We just see them going for the shoulder bashes. Is going to lead into that kill, but now Pyro's just going to be going back to the same thing.
The rising tackle right there. Gonna catch them. I'm slipping just a tiny bit as here we go. Pyro is playing a more traditional zoning game right now. Remember what I said about these platforms? Controlling underneath them is so crucial. Pyro doesn't even need to be underneath the platform to control underneath it, but it doesn't matter if they're forced off stage, because when you put yourself in that position, then you don't have anywhere to retreat to if your one line of defense that is broken through. Just like that.
Yeah, wait a minute, Carlish, something has changed. The air has just gotten a little bit thinner. I think the focus has just kicked in as that adrenaline. We see these stocks, they are so even. These players really do just want to be trading back and forth, living up to the legend that we know them of. But with that go now available, Pyro's the one who's going to have to think a little bit more. I have to see the way that you want to take these, though. It does seem the can is always going to be the first option. The second and the third has to be thrown off solely just for the reason that you weren't ready for the geyser.
Yeah, catching that jump perfectly right there, Carlish. Understanding that Pyro wants to be up on that platform. Now Pyro playing from a deficit right here. Carlish the opportunity to get some massive damage, maybe even a kill with all this rage. Respecting the gunman though, not rushing in, not overcommitting. Carlish has lived past like 150, 160% every time. 184 right now. Rolling just right past that gunman. They're starting to get a better hand at this, and these power waves have been the name of the game so many times.
Oh, but the can launched up into the air by Alejandro. I give them names, don't look at me weird. Managing to find it now. Pyro's the one not looking too good, is at 82%, and Carlish is just keeping up the pace. Not able to find any type of conversion or really set up into it, but still. Kill percentage! Oh no! The betrayal! It almost happened.
That's the thing. That can is a combo breaker and a kill move right there, but it doesn't matter. I don't know what move that was, but either way, it's going to uppercut them straight off the top. That'll be Carlish, extending this lead for the University of Colorado.
You know, let's take a second. Wait.
Yeah, that was a trade with a clay pigeon.
Oh.
It looks like. As here on the ledge. The can isn't even in play. What do you want here? You want a combo starter, but it does not matter. The throw animation of that clay pigeon is not enough to stuff out Carlish. Not quite good enough spacing. And again, that's what I was talking about. Carlish was living forever on this stock. It felt like Pyro wasn't really getting that many of their early percent kills that we know and love them for. None of those clay pigeon confirms that I've called out so many times in the past.
A matchup that I don't think I'll see something as very tense as this, and though I say it almost every game, this one takes a new ladder of just how important it is to, well, pay attention, get those punishes. How many punishes would you say were the main focus of these kills, or was it rather just kind of players getting one up of another?
I mean, I feel like this last game in particular was less of a story about big punishes and more about the individual interactions. There were a lot more stray hits, a lot more big hits, and the reason you know it wasn't all about punishes, I mean, everyone's going to get some low percent kills. I'm just checking in. Oh, sorry, I thought I was hearing our producer say something, but either way, looks like erosion is going to be the next up, and yeah, this is starting to look pretty tough for the University of Hawaii. I mean, look at this scoreline, user.
Not looking the best, but I wouldn't say that it's like a yard worth of a reach, right?
I mean, yeah, just take a look at how far the University of Hawaii has to climb. They're not big winners, remember. They're not usually getting these huge 3 stocks. They are, well, usually just taking an early lead and then fighting through it slowly but surely. Even if they lose a game, even if they lose 2, they're fine because they got that early lead. But Gray went down early. That's almost unheard of for Hawaii, and that set the tone for this entire match. University of Colorado took the wind out of their sails with that one.
You know, the only time we ever hear our producer talk to us is when we talk about frame data. That's when they start getting their jiffies up and they're happy to talk. But now, we're going to be sitting in Coffee Coon, I do believe, or Not Christian. Yeah, not Christian then. We know Not Christian. I think Not Christian is a very strong player to be sending out into that mid-round. Has always been one of those people who I feel has the potential to start bringing it in, even if at times they do feel a bit mixy.
Yeah, Not Christian is generally one of the more consistent players on the side of the University of Hawaii on that Game & Watch. The Game & Watches in general are extraordinarily consistent as... they're going up against Erosion. Let me double check on what I have on Zerosion. I got nothing. I'll be real. It has been a while since I've gotten the pleasure of seeing the University of Colorado. They've got their big flashy players. They have, they've got the big name players like Endure on that Ike, which I called out earlier. And also... they've got Katsuji, who you've got to keep an eye out. Katsuji has yet to come out, and I know Katsuji doesn't love to play against the University of Hawaii because of how they have used players like Darth Wampa to stuff them out in the past. Plus, they have very execution-heavy characters like Sheik, who don't function well in the online conditions that you usually have to play through. So it's understandable that Katsuji doesn't want to go through that, but they still always come out with a big performance. Meanwhile, University of Hawaii is more about a leveled playing field. Remember how I was saying last week, all of their players have sort of leveled out. They're sort of like, it always felt like there were holes in Hawaii's roster. It felt like they were like, okay, we have these big heavy hitters, and then we have, who else is available tonight? Now it feels like they have a consistent starting roster, and you know how important that is.
Consistency, by far, biggest thing, but having that starting roster, knowing the players, I think you start building a rhythm. Those players, they get stronger the more they go out because they're gonna have trust in themselves. And, well, when you know you're going in, you've already prepared years beyond than randomly sitting there saying, well, who's gonna go up next? That's the air of mystery I feel sometimes hurts those teams rather than feeling, safe knowing who you're gonna go with, who's gonna be going out. But even then, that's a double-edged sword. That's a lot of theory crafting that goes on in my head, at least. With going to Battlefield starting out, though, theory crafting doesn't stop with it.
Not at all. Not at all. Battlefield opening this up. Now, let me double-check. Not Christian coming in here. I mean, you can obviously say, oh, Game & Watch has platform extensions. I feel like I'm going to stop calling that out from now on. Everyone has platform extensions. This is Ultimate. Everyone's like, oh, we got cool platform combos. Check this Twitter clip out. But either way, well, everyone except Little Mac. But even then, still some interesting stuff there. Game & Watch has some nice stuff with sharking aerials. The fact that their short hop nair will just shark perfectly to pressure and sometimes shield poke underneath that side platform on Battlefield is one of the most impactful things. Additionally, you can usually get some crazy punishes if you're able to, if you shield on that top platform, they hit your shield, you get that uppy out of shield. Sometimes if you get a nair, it can straight up kill off the top. That's not always the case, but hey, sometimes you're able to get the correct DI and punish it accordingly.
Yep, we are getting this button check, allowing the players just to get a moment to figure out. You know, could you imagine if the button checks just never happen and somebody walks into the match and everything's just really wonky?
Yeah, it's like walking through water sometimes where, I mean, you're near Philly like me. You You ever
Yeah.
go, like, down to the beach and you're just, like, trying to wade through the ocean, and, like, at first, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You're like, or no, at first it's actually pretty difficult because you're not adjusted to the pull of the current, to what the waves feel like crashing against you. Those little hiccups. That's what playing Wi-Fi is. It's a little unpredictable. Sometimes it's calm and tranquil. There's no current. There's barely any waves. Sometimes it's all rough. And there's big spikes. There's big waves. As it is going to be the Salmon. Okay. Not Christian on the Falco. What? And
Oh.
Zeroja. Okay. I'm confused. I'm pretty sure this is actually Coffee-kun coming out subbing in. Because Coffee-kun is the one who usually runs this Falco, and I know they're usually a sub for Not Christian. Meanwhile, Zerosion on this Samus is going to be, well, I'm trying to think of how this matchup plays out, but we're going to get to see in front of us how it plays out, and I'll leave that one to you.
Well, I like to keep my opinions close to my theoretical world of the DKs or the S tiers and everyone else is below. Especially characters that can beat them. So that's the story that I'll keep telling, but they're not in. So as we see this poor bird just being pushed off the stage, the Samus is the one who's finding the room, but now momentum slightly switching. The grabs are leading into these punishes, and Zoro at least is going to have some safety getting back onto the stage. But look at this, Coffee gets the grab, throw you up in the air, and a beautiful swipe just to knock you off for a second.
Yeah. Now, Zerosion, very clear game plan right here. Oh, but you weren't accounting for that one. That regrab going to be punished hard with that spike. Coffee-kun ready for that. I've always noted that Coffee-kun is very good at disrupting their opponent's game plan. And so, the game plan for Samus, get Bird off stage, ledge trap until death. As you saw, Coffee-kun was able to get a reversal off of ledge there that led into that spike. If you're able to keep disrupting that game plan, then you've got something going. So Zerosion's got to vary how they go for that very streamlined flow chart that leads to their death. Because if you're getting your kill off of enough throw at 150 every single time, then Coffee-kun's confirms they're going to get the edge eventually.
Launch into the stratosphere, and Coffee, as you said, starting to get some room. The grab at least, forcing them off the side, forcing out the same side B, and then moving back in. Legs for days, as I'd like to say, as she almost knocked them out. But at least Falco's going to be living another day for another fight, though off the stage it's not alright.
Samus's up air is going to be the main damage gathering tool at the moment, because obviously Samus is known for... What even happened right there? I saw the up B for a moment, but then it vanished before my eyes. We'll have to... Yeah, I'm honestly genuinely curious, but either way, while that doesn't come out, it is going to be... Oh, I thought they were going to be forced to use the up B right there. That could have been brutal, because if you're forced to use the up B, Erosion gets a very big opportunity to get a big punish right there. They go down for the trade, though. They're down there colliding with that Shine Spark, and they're able to get right on through it. And now, you've got a clean stock lead over Zerosion. And it's
What
gone.
did you say?
Sorry. Misread.
Yeah, these players, when there's a certainty, they always seem to break it out. That's why I always like to say they never like to listen to casters. We do see as the Reflector not able to block out the initial blast, but then eventually managing to get its hit. Coffee still wanting to play in this mid-range, go onto the side of the stage, is still forced out of their comfort zone. But it's relatively working until you get, jabbed up into the air, the legs start spinning, and then now you have to move back in and try and hit through a shield. That's not always a good sign.
They use that reflector off of ledge. That's going to be a very interesting factor, because they're actually able to nullify a lot of Samus's ledge trapping because of that. But if it becomes too predictable, then you can just sort of box right through it. But now the juggles come out. Erosion has a percentage lead, but that can turn around off stage in an instant. The up tilt going to be safe enough for Erosion to get a roll away. Going to avoid that grab right there. Now the rapid jab. Coffee-kun racking up this damage, and Erosion is struggling to get anything more than a stray hit, but the dash attack is going to kill right off the top. I think they caught a DIN either way. Erosion going to just escape that disadvantage because of the advantage that they have built in terms of percentage earlier in that match.
I gotta say, it's just an armor difference. I mean, Falco's got a scouter in a little bit of armor, but you know, Zoro's sitting there in a whole suit. And I mean, they're also Samus is also technically a bird person, so I mean, it works out. Though Coffee has a lot more flair, as you've seen. That was still 1-1, even if Colorado are now going to kind of take that lead a little bit further. Coffee has a chance to bring this back, right?
Oh, definitely does. You saw how close that was getting towards the end as Coffee-kun was mounting their comeback. Yeah, let's take a look here. Ooh. Yeah, you don't even need to get the spike. Zerosian obviously can be a little more ready with those techs. It's a little difficult online, but you know that Coffee-kun loves to go for those spikes whenever you're forced to go for a telegraphed up B like that.
I gotta say, I'm at least really happy. One of my favorite things to see in Smash, and definitely with players, is the confidence to go off the stage and try to knock out your opponent. No matter if they have a good recovery or not, I think if you have that trust in yourself and you are confident enough to at least attempt it and not get punished, that always brings a smile to my face. You know, even if you're 1-to-1 stock, we've seen a lot of scenarios where people end up, you know, getting hit into, for example, a Nest PK Thunder when they're off the stage and then they end up hitting to the side, getting knocked out, and that always doesn't feel too good. But seeing it work out, I love seeing it.
Yeah, I certainly understand that one, as we're looking to get the counter picks underway here. Now, Coffee-kun, they're playing a lot around these extensions. The combo game is definitely the main thing. I felt like the ledge trapping from Samus usually is the thing that gets in most people's heads. Coffee-kun did not seem that deterred by it. I'm trying to remember what racked up most of the percentage. It was mostly in air-to-air trades that they were beat out by Samus's aerials, and that's more of a gameplay adjustment. Calling out these short hops with maybe shielding and then getting an up tilt out from underneath. It's kind of tough to like just say, oh, just shield ball, but it really does feel like it's more of a gameplay adjustment than a stage adjustment, but the stage may help as we're getting to see these bans. They're just going right back to Battlefield.
I mean, I don't put it against them. It's easier than having to go up an entirely different matchup. Both of these players are used to it, so they are going to be having some room to think of how they just want to go. Already, we see as Coffee takes the space, takes the momentum, and starts flinging you into the air, but you've got some boosters, and you've got some hits that are land them off. Even if you get pushed off once more, still managing to even up the damage. Quite slightly.
Yeah. Now, Coffee-kun trying to extend this lead as much as possible. Keeps Erosion off stage, get another early stock like they did last time. And this time trying to hold onto that lead. They up tilt again, the back air. That's going to kill right out, even with the perfect DI to the corner. Erosion on that platform, that confirm is just too strong.
Very powerful move, as you said. And though we're seeing the Samus have the longer legs, it's going to be Coffee who's just shining a bit more. We do see them launch in the air, using that shield solely just to knock them back. Gets the grab, throwing them up, trying to just push them as far as they can. May even go just to stop them from going out, but those mines do an amazing job of saying, don't you even try it. With the recovery is there. Oh, beautiful reflection as well.
Remember what I said about how Coffee-kun is all about disrupting their opponent's game plan? All of their tools being used against them. And what I do love is they're not going for the spike every time now. They just jump off stage and then they like air dodge back on Proto-Banham style. They're just... It feels like Zerosian isn't allowed to push a single button right now. And Coffee-kun isn't always getting a hard punish on that, but they're still putting the fear of God, or rather the fear of caffeine in them, as they cannot get a landing right there. Zerosian just throwing out random aerials in the air. You can see they need to stabilize here and now.
I gotta say, it's too late to be having energy like this, and yet Coffee turns it up a notch. Maybe had a cappuccino. That's the only phrase I know that's coffee related, by the way. So as we see the grab go out, launching Coffee into the sky, it's not gonna lead into a kill, but they're still having to be extremely cautious using their own blaster. The reflector is just a threat in its own right, so you leave it back up to the old fundamental legs to lead into the kill.
Yeah, I do love that, covering the role like that. Understanding that Coffee-kun has been getting away with quite a few of those, but I do love the frequent use of this reflector, not just as a reflector, but as a poking tool. It's just, a way to say, hey, I could throw this out at any time, and also you're going to take a couple percent for it. It's going to disrupt your rhythm, as now they're just barely able to make it back onto that stage. Good use of that jump right there. Now, ooh, forward air, sending you off. Here's the edge guard situation we've seen time and time again. Coffee-kun hasn't capitalized that much yet, and they don't go for the down air. Just the ledge trap this time. Up be out of shield.
Zoro is at a very dangerous spot and is more than anything trying to just get Coffee off the stage. And I mean, that's the point of the game, but this is the different meaning of persistency as we see Coffee being able to hit that little bit of a kick, knocking them off. Still though, returning back onto the stage, gets hit with the reflector, so they throw out their own beam. They're feeling nice. The Falco gonna miss the parry, just helping to give a second of an inch of land. And look at that! They don't find the stock. It comes so close, but the Falco's wings allow them to fly, even if you manage to throw them off the stage. Look at this recovery. One of the highest jumps in the game is going to allow them to freely get on.
Yeah, it is. And now they're able to get off ledge thanks to that reflector, but that optimistic side B is going to be shielded and punished. Now you can see his erosion is starting to heat up. Remember what I said when I said they needed to stabilize? Now this is them stabilized. This could be everything right here. Coffee-kun just needs one confirm, and Erosion knows it. This is their opportunity, and that up B is going to be their downfall. One up B, almost a kill. Two up Bs, setting up for another kill. Three up Bs, that time the spacing is there. Coffee-kun stays well out of your range and is able to get the punish. Oh yeah, they poked with that somewhat reaching out down tilt, and that is what let them set up into that up smash right there.
Yep, now, I mean, they're gonna have to go to the third round. Got hit with the Fox Special, which is basically any move that revolves around up tilting. That's at least what I like to consider it. And, well, Zoro's gonna have a different change of pace, and you were absolutely right. The more you notice it, and the more you look at these replays when Coffee is confirming these kills, the disruption was there, and Zoro very much was a little bit more uncomfortable when it comes to it. So, how do you deal with disruption? If you're going up against a person who's really good at breaking it, how do you try to play against it? Is it just like you be a little more spammy, be more unpredictable, grabs? What is it just a 1-2 to it, or is this not something that can just be put out of a handbook?
I mean, yeah. At this level of Smash, even something as simple as extending a combo is not something you can just put in a handbook. However, in my eyes, you do need to pay a lot of attention to how they're getting in, how they're getting these disruptions started, and that is something they need to, that just comes with time. We saw Erosion definitely had it within them to finish them off, but ultimately, the early lead that Coffee-kun built was what they kind of piggybacked them all the way to that win, and a good win it was, and it gets Hawaii, well, a little bit closer to, I mean, a little bit closer, just a little bit closer, but you need a little bit more than that. Still going to be one more here. Dealing with this disruption. Dealing with it. I mean, one thing they did is they started using the defensive tools that they, I think, honestly might have forgot about. That up B out of shield, even though it was punished towards the end there, that is a huge tool for making sure that they can't get too comfortable pressuring you.
We already see as Zoro is not having the great time. He is able to get those shoulder bashes, a little bit of the Terry, as I'd like to just call it. But the grab leads into something else, managing to just knock Coffee-kun off. We are still on Battlefield, but it's smaller. And how much of a difference does it make? Simply because one platform is gone, it's a bit more tight, even if Coffee is already starting the disruption. And, not a spike, but just rudeness.
Yeah, it's that lingering hitbox, the bane of so many recoveries' existence. The fact that you can just throw it out there and interrupt like that. I had no idea Falco's recovery, or Falco's down air, was that disjointed even at the salt hitbox to challenge Shine Spark so consistently. But Coffee-kun with that matchup knowledge right there. Ooh!
That Team Rocket blasting off again. Wrong game, wrong franchise, and yet it still works. Thank you, Pokemon. As we see Coffee getting grabbed once more, seems to be the main game plan here. Managed to use that blaster, though we do see it kind of help stop Zoro from moving in too far. Coffee still finds what they need in the end. Looking to use that reflector, trying to predict when it happens, but not going to be a 1-for-1. Rather, we see the grab knocking them off, not going to be able to disable the side B, but the trade is much worse than anything.
These little bits of chip damage right here. You can see a lot of use of the Zair and little projectiles right there that you don't mind as much if they are reflected. Zerosion finding different ways through this and clipping them with that recovery right there. Coffee-kun was not ready for that. That's an early stock gone. They're probably going to want to try and make it up right here, but trying to go for a hard read to make up the deficit, that's going to get you punished even harder. Coffee-kun right now, any chance they had, it might just be slipping away. They need something big right here. They need to make it even.
Ooh. Coffee looks determined, new anger in their eye as they keep up the pace. They are just holding these sides, looking just to knock them out as Zoro tries to keep that distance. We do see the smash wasn't close enough to land, and Zoro's now starting to punish the fact that they haven't been dead yet. As they move forward, they dance around these shields, and we see the small blasters being a true menace, but it's quite possibly going to be the juggles in the air that help.
Yeah, dragging down into that down tilt to finish them off, and now Coffee-kun has to recover first. Oh no! I know what this replay is going to be. Devin does it every time. They use their jump somewhere in there, and they did not realize it. And that always hurts. Oh, no. They totally realized it. And no, I'm not sure they did. Because Falco, so much of the recovery is that jump. They could have made it back if they went for that up B, but no. Double jumping between stocks. My old friends, Erosion, saw that, and they're like, wah, 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 wah.
Oh.
Double jumps behind you. Like that.
How do
That's
they?
just unfortunate. After Coffee-kun, they had been struggling for so long, but that just shows how capitalizing. It's not just making one mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, even at the highest level, but it's whether you capitalize on it or not. Zerosion saw that, and they're like, gimme, gimme, gimme. And that was pretty much it. Like, that was it. Another mistake, another habit that Coffee-kun is exploiting, not getting that tech. But yeah, Zerosion was just looking a lot cleaner this game, and it really paid off. Good stuff from Zerosion to keep this streak alive, and at this point, it's looking a little bit unwinnable for the University of Hawaii. Oof. Yet another way. Falco's died in that exact part of the blast zone so many times.
Not even funny at this point, but I'll still laugh because it's hilarious. Upgrade the word, bada boom. Death Wampa is going to be a player that's coming in for Hawaii. And I will say the sentiment of it being a little bit unwinnable is, I would say, true. I'm not good with numbers, but I feel you would need a good 3 stock back-to-back to kind of bring in a lead.
Yeah, you would definitely need something like that. Not exactly a 3 stock, but the stakes are high for the University of Hawaii. You need a huge performance. And we're going to get into that soon, but we're going to take a very brief break first before the latter half of this game. So stick around. University of Hawaii versus the University of Colorado will conclude soon. Welcome back, everybody, to EGFC. We are right smack dab in the middle of University of Hawaii against University of Colorado. As we speak, look down at that scoreline below me. You can see University of Colorado has a massive lead. University of Hawaii would need, like, some very close to a perfect game right now if they want to bring this back. And it's going to be Darth Wampa coming in to see if you can get this going up against Endure. Now, Endure is the captain, and they, as I said before, are so proficient in getting exactly as many points you need to make this game unwinnable.
Now, look at this, though. The name of the game really is just trying to get as, playing as strong as you can. I think Darth is going to be looking to make it. Poor Endure has to live up to the name and try to just live. It is very much a sword fight, one or the other, but what makes Link so more versatile comparably to Ike, who you could say is a bit stronger in damage?
I feel like Darth Wampa just definitely makes good use of these all-around tools. It makes them very applicable to all-around matchups, as you can see right there. Ooh! Tries to challenge that super armor, and it's not going to pay off. But Darth Wampa does actually have the edge for the moment. But you got to remember, Endure is playing around these stocks. All they need to do is make sure they don't get 3 stocks. That's all they really need to do. And that is what I have known them for time and time again, and some very flashy plays. I've seen Endure steal stocks so ridiculously early.
Yep. We do see, though, the spacing they are looking for is going to be taken, after they get the grab and then the sword. I wouldn't call that an early stock, but definitely a strong one to take, as Darth, really, that's the win condition right now, though, trying to take control of that air. You don't win it out when your sword's not as long as, the 12-foot long broad as it is.
Yeah, right now, you can see Endure struggling to get the landing right here. I mean, this is honestly very safe pressure right there. That was a pretty odd interaction, honestly. The fact that they were able to nair through that, but then they were able to spot dodge through the up B and then got hit by the latter part of it, it calls attention to how safe Darth Wampa is playing, knowing how to safely pressure a shield with their specific character, its character knowledge, and obviously knowledge of Ike's out of shield options as well. A department where he is somewhat lacking, the up out of shield is the main one you've got to keep an eye on, and they know the nair spot dodge will cover that.
Now look at that, though, managing to get that kill at 160 as well. There's no better feeling than surviving and even taking your opponent. Now we may see Endure take an early stock. As you said, they're already playing so aggressively for it, knocking their opponent back off isn't less predicting, but able to clip through the map. It's the Ike special, though what is the Link special is kind of trading it.
Yeah, Hero Spin going to get that stock off, but after Darth Wampa had a commanding lead to start out, now Endure really brought this back. I mean, they're doing exactly what their team needs them to right here, as, they tried to charge that neutral beat all the way up, which could have been detrimental, but that one little arrow from Darth Wampa was just like, no, I don't really want you to do that. I'd prefer you to stop, please. Thank you. Okay.
Yep, so with the back, they'll manage to land. Oh, poor Link. Managing to launch themselves freely on no threat. Endure is not used to seeing that, I bet, as they now... Well, they managed to get it in a pretty anticlimactic way, but Darth put on a really good show.
You get no sympathy from me.
They did, but Endure was consistent, and that is the name of the game right there. Yeah, I'm just curious to see. I mean, they just called out how badly Darth Wampa needed to approach that nair. It might clank with almost everything, but the sword, a little too much to contest with, my friend.
Now, we get to see... I just want to re-looking at that. Those are kind of the ways that Darth really got the kills, and it felt very reactive. But does Darth play more proactive or reactive? Because it's hard for me to put an eye onto it.
Definitely more proactive from what I've been seeing right here. You saw how they love to land with the Nair and spot dodge, or land with the Nair and shield, and bait with an option. Because that Nair, Ike does not have something fast enough to punish that Nair right away. They punish what Darth Wampa does after that Nair. That is honestly what whiff punishing is at the highest level. You can whiff punish most things. You whiff punish what they do after the thing that they just did. Like right there, whiff punish Nair into immediate fall through platform. Boomerang, and then here's the proactive. Boomerang's out. Okay, I'm going to land with this Nair. Safe Nair. Nair safe. And boom. Not safe at all.
I feel like that looked a lot more simple than it really was. But going back over to PS2, that means it's no switch. It's just time to adapt and figure it out. But do you want to play reactive when you have so many projectiles against Endure?
Well, that can be a little tough. You can see Endure is now playing very reactive, very punish heavy. Again, Nair, up tilt, they punish the up tilt. They punish what Darth Wampa does afterwards. You can see how well Endure is catching onto this rhythm that Darth Wampa plays at.
We do see Endure being thrown off. Well, not throwing the Link off to the side. Now just looking to get this kill. Manages to clean it. Good swipe, good land, good jump. It's all looking good, except for Dart, as they are at the 0, though.
Endure is feeling themselves right now. The up tilt, send Endure up as... nice little bit of shield pressure right there, but they bait out an option with that up tilt into forward tilt. Now, you can see Endure actually struggling to get an opening right now. Is this going to be a double 0-0? If they're not able to get in, finally you're able to get rid of that 0% on the board, but you dip a little low right there. They're able to get back to stage though. Okay, Ike's recovery, very good vertically.
Look at this, getting that recovery back onto the stage. Endure, it's just always been the person to live up to the name. Good little walk-in, I guess, you know, trying to force your opponent. I'd like to think you're just moving them away, so it's good smart. However, Endure looks to be just as smart, looking to just knock you off, manage to just force them to use the side B, and it leads into your own killing move.
Now, this neutral B charged up, but pulls it a little preemptively, but that does enable you to be in position to catch their landings. This is where Ike excels. I love that Tomahawk up tilt right there. Delaying that timing can trip up so many players, but Darth Wampa holds their defenses strong and true, but that landing, you cannot protect yourself. Down smash gonna finish them off right there.
Now, with a 2-1 lead, Endure is now juggling, well, that's what I'd like to call it, as you just grab your opponent, fling them into the air, and you continuously do it over and over again, as you've now quite possibly forced them off. No, they get the landing back, but you do it once more, but you put them back onto the stage rather than throw them off, giving them a false sense of security, and...
So long, my friend. Where did Darth Wampa... Okay, well, I'm gonna have to re-watch that right there, because remember what I said? I have seen Endure take some stocks at ludicrously early percent. They were dead! And I guess you were a stock up, and Endure has secured this victory for their team, but hey, sometimes this is what you gotta do. One more time for good measure. So, they armor through that bomb, but that's not the reason they went for it. They were going for the long-range spike, but literally, hold on, can we go frame by frame right there? How close were they to hitting with the sword?
Oh my goodness. Let's see the pixels. Bring out the measuring tape. That is a hair cut away.
Wait, they went through the center of the hero spin, so they didn't even take damage.
Wait, actually,
Science can't explain what we're looking at right here.
Sakurai?
They threaded the needle. Endure literally threaded the needle right there. That was...
I've actually just never been so confused in my life, and I took pre-calc.
Like... Oh, man. Honestly, beautiful stuff right there. As we're just gonna get to see some of Ender's other amazing plays. I mean, Darth Wampa is really good at catching those recovery options. The side beat into the center stage is very nice, but ooh, I love this. They called out the immediate spot dodge. You don't jump up, because when you hit that down tilt, you're expecting the immediate raw back air. Once again, oof, right through the center. Did you see it?
I mean, you couldn't avoid it. The only thing that we know for sure is that the University of Colorado, it speaks for itself. They've solidified a good chance, but still, map differential. I always like to hammer this into people because sometimes they just never know how important it is.
Yeah, map differential, it decides so much. Like earlier today, we were looking at Siena University, number 2, except they're tied in terms of game wins with everyone else at number 1. So why are they number 2? Map differential. And that determines incredibly important seeding. That determines who you're going to be playing in things like the MAC championships, which are happening this Thursday through Saturday. So be sure to be checking that one out. But hey, that is a tale for Thursday. And I've got time to rest my voice between then and now. But you've got to be very wary, because map differential, it's like cramming for a final. You can try your best to get as many like double 3 stocks in right at the end of the year as you can, get as many points on the board, but in the end, the best way to actually be ready for the championships, to be ready for the playoffs, is to just slip in as many little playoffs as many little map wins as you can.
Very true, and now we get a moment to see, especially for you, to rest your voice. You've been going hard. When it goes down to the last contestants of tonight, we're going to be having Cheese Brain, the Ratatouille player themselves, versus Kaiju. English is not my first language. I know Japanese is anywhere near.
That's Katsuji right there, who I mentioned earlier as the Sheik and Luigi player. Though they've been favoring the Sheik a lot, especially when they are winning, because then they can just sort of mess around, have some fun, and they are definitely going to put on a show, especially if they're going up against Cheese Brain, who is a Terry player. They're just going to be going at each other, no matter who the characters are, Luigi or Sheik or Terry. They're all very, they're there to throw hands and feet and some fireballs occasionally, but mostly hands.
Alright, that took me a second. I don't know why I was so thinking heavily. I was like, what else could you add on to that, you know? But you do make a great point. I still like the Sheik. Not a character that at least I've seen too many people play, but then again, I look outside without my glasses, so my sight's very narrowed as it is. But how good is this Sheik when it goes into the hands of the player?
Well, don't hurt your eyes there. But either way, the Sheik, it's flawless. Okay, not flawless. The Sheik has many flaws, but Katsuji is a player who has, I believe, in the past been gotten wins on a couple top 50 players. Like, this Sheik has gotten upsets, and they're actually not on the Terry, they're on the Ken instead. So you gotta be looking out for these massive, like, I feel like out of all the Shotos, Ken has the most, like, actual strings besides Kazuya, but you're not going to see a lot of Kazuya online. And the confirms. Ken will kill you at 50 if he touches you with the right move. Just nudges you with that little bit of pressure right there. And, ooh, that parry at ledge, too. Something you got to keep an eye on.
Yeah, look at that, being able to hit you with the short. Ooh, but it's the leg that actually manages to cut not only through what I'm saying, but the attack managing, look at that, set themselves up for something nice as, Sheik is more looking to take their time. They've set up for their own moves, but look at that parry.
Yeah, getting a lot of bread and butters right here, but Sheik does, I mean, again, not to pre-John for Katsuji, but Sheik does struggle a decent bit online. But you can see they keep going for this drag down smash, and Cheese Brain is just not allowing it to happen. Naring out a shield, putting Cheese Brain off stage, and they're just keeping them at ledge.
There's more. Look at this. She's Brain's feeling perfectly fine. Still messing, not really messing around, making sure to get those hits. Just trying to lead in. And look at that! The Shoryuken. I think this is why players sometimes prefer Ken. You know, it's just the combo inputs, and especially that hit always feels so satisfying. And now, you know, we get to see how they're gonna do. The Sheik is just looking to take that stock. Unfortunately walks into that, and it's gonna be leading into a couple percentage.
Yeah, the focus attack has been Cheesebrain's main opener right here, and when they get that opener, they carry disadvantage for a long time, and oh, right off the top right there, Cheesebrain with the 3 stock over Katsuji. Okay. They're definitely feeling themselves.
They're feeling pretty spicy right now, though very late in the game, I would say is not the worst thing, but you very much put onto a flare. Why more looking just to be able to take those percentage. You know, they're saying that you can take this win, but we'll take it next week, and we'll take your percentage-wise. And I gotta say, I really like how the Ken is working, but both of these characters are relatively close quarters, so is this just Cheesebrain having, like, a really good player knowledge?
It could definitely be that. It is also just a fundamental difference in their character. It's almost 2 dichotomies. It's pure punish and pure neutral. Not that Sheik isn't punish game, but the way Sheik has been explained to me by many a player is Sheik is a character who is a quick time event in which you just have to press a bunch of very theoretically easy buttons over and over again 40 times in a row and you win. Meanwhile, Ken also has to press 40 buttons, but it's in a very tight window. You have to go in and you gotta hit those 40 buttons. You gotta pull off your massive combo, your massive confirm into the Shoryuken and get the finisher. Sheik will carry you across the stage very slowly, light little taps over and over again, but they have the options to cover pretty much any sort of escape from disadvantage you could hope to get. I feel like, oddly enough, the tight execution is favored a lot more as they're going right into the Luigi now. They want some more of that punish game of their own.
Now it is time to see how the Luigi works. They're rocking out with a Waluigi skin. I always respect that, you know, the nomination, the knowledge, but look at this. Cheesebrain is now the one put on the end. Is it the small Italian man owning the mansion of ghosts that's being able to defeat this Street Fighter?
Yeah, as now... Ooh, that is a perfect interrupt right there. This is Katsuji's main, original main, and it definitely shows with how efficient they are with these plunger games, with the 0 to death coming out here. You're not the only one with Shoryuken finishers right here, as Katsuji... We're not even a minute in!
I mean, I guess, you know, some people just have their mains and they have their secondaries, and then you have the OGs that you're just willing to walk out on. And the Luigi is showing, though. Sure, you can not going to be able to take it. We do see the launch. The question, no, yep, they get back onto the stage. It's not going to be without too much difficulty. Those grabs miss out on both sides, which is funny enough. We do see Katsuji looking to take that space, gets hit for a second. Though they're not able to look for any true edge guarding, it's about watching your opponent get caught off guard and mess it up slightly.
Dash attack gonna send Cheesebrain off stage. Goes for that Gimp that we saw in Stock 1, but this time Cheesebrain adapts, going up above the ledge, but they still get caught by the Luigi Tornado. Now trying to fight against this constant barrage of pressure right there, but again, Cheesebrain is relying very heavily on hard up smash, uppercut reads, and Katsuji is calling them out now.
It's a beautiful adaptation. Though we see that stock taken, they're feeling fine. 101, almost knocked off. They're going to be able to get back with the Shori. You can, but the question is, can you take this stock? I'd say sure you can, as that's just a pun that I'd like to say. As we see, look at that, the spin to win, managing to help out for a little longer, knocking that Ken so far back. The question is,
ooh.
Could you get back on the stage?
The question is answered, user. And the answer is nah.
You could have let into sure you can't, and I would have said you stole what I was going with. Cheesy jokes are my one-liners, all right? That's how I live my life. Everybody will remember me by the guy who just does the cheesy liners, and that's how you get your name out there. But this matchup, let's talk about it.
Off stage, it's Katsuji's game all the way. Cheesebrain doesn't really have the options to challenge Katsuji off stage without a very hard read, very hard indeed. And additionally, you can see Cheesebrain isn't quite as eager to get in there and scrap. Because one, their focus attack is beat out by grab every time. That's how grab works. And two, if they mess up, Katsuji has just as strong a punish game as them. Probably even stronger.
You know, honestly, when I went into this, even with the possibility of the Luigi, you know, I tend to hard focus on the idea that, oh, well, Cheesebrain did really good last round, and that's how a lot of people have been going. And, you know, sometimes you would think you'd notice the pattern of these back and forth fights, how all it takes is 1 second. Look at that. That jump is noticed, it's flinged in the air, and then, look at this, a little bit of a miss. You just try to cancel out of it. Luigi just knows your weaknesses.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame them for wanting to try to get back to center stage there, but that might have been all she wrote. Now, I keep saying this, we have seen so many games that's a 3-stock and then a 2-stock and swinging back and forth, and it's always so close, so clutch in this last game. So going into what seems to be our final match, we'll see who manages to get the edge here as the cloud comes out from Cheesebrain. Okay, I don't blame you at all for this. Going a bit slower pace, you know you can't stack up to Katsuji in that punish game. They just proved that. So instead, you're willing to smack them out of the sky with this cloud, trying to get the opener right there, but percentage ain't quite true right there. Not going for this grab so much anymore. They're just looking to box out Cloud when they get their opening.
Now look at that, getting up close to the limit. Now with it unleashed, this could be as strong as just the simple emote kick that the Luigi holds. Though that's just a random bit of spitting. Reduced to it launched. Now they're going to be having a second just to get it back. But look at this, Katsuji is just playing onto the low grab, not looking to go into the air, take their time, and take Cheesebrain's own aggressiveness against them.
As dash tech, going to put them off stage. Ooh, honestly, that was an aggressive air dodge, but based on how Katsuji has been covering the ledge the entire time, I don't hate it. It got through Katsuji's ledge trapping, and now you've got them above you. You're evening out these percents. Nice call by Cheesebrain.
Yep. Being able to stop that fire from at least going out, but you haven't taken the stock just yet. They are both incredibly close. Look at that parry, very nice, but it's the limits that comes close to taking
right
the
there.
stock. It's not enough, just barely, and even surprisingly, Luigi managing the trick for a second.
Yeah, bit of a misfire, able to keep your recovery stagnated, but speaking of stagnated, ooh, that might have been another missing jump. The mysterious case of the missing jump we saw, and now Zero with max rage. Are they just done? No, Katsuji's keeping this going, knowing you can't get the up B, so get that 86%. Try to cover that neutral get up, but drifting away. I love that, because the win box will probably pull them in if they try and get too aggressive, and then you're not overcommitting. The limit cross slash, though, this time will finish the job.
Now, though they send the Luigi so far out, Cheesebrain, from a simple move, managed to be almost taken out of this match. It seems the attempts to grab with the cups aren't going to be working too well. That limit's coming close, and Cheese is still relatively fine. But Cat is still getting on back to the stage relatively with no issues, though. Now, Limit Buster is up. You have to use it to get back on the stage. But this is just not your game. Wait, your opponent does not save you. Imagine if it was, though.
That is the sound that has ended 1,000 dreams. Like, you just cannot get to, like, Luigi's offstage pressure with the Zair is so good, and the onstage pressure is almost unmatched as well once you get that grab, once you get that one touch of death. But Cheesebrain going to avoid that fate for the time being, as they play under this platform, looking to get a landing read. We've seen a lot of big landing reads so far. Think back to those huge down smashes. Is this going to be enough? That Luigi tornado whirling you straight off the top of the stage. Cheesebrain finished off. Katsuji finishing strong for the University of Colorado. Even more points on the board as they take this all the way home to the bank.
You know, there is nothing better than ending off a series like this when it comes down to the third round. I gotta say, a lot of points that I really want to focus on, but yeah, what happened, you know? Unfortunate. I gotta say, the Luigi was a good showcasing to play. And as well as, you know, that's me not having great kind of character knowledge. If I'm correct, when the grab misses out, it drops a like a, yeah, it hits, right?
Yeah. That is a hitbox when that little plunger falls down, and it's just a little nudge. But against a character like Cloud with a somewhat linear recovery, that nudge is all you need. And you saw, when they went for that edge guard, they would go for the down tilts to interrupt the limit climb hazard, which is that up B, and then they would just use the plungers to knock the lights out of them every single time, just bumping their head on that plunger. Beautiful stuff from Katsuji there, showing character knowledge and execution, which you would come to expect from a team as dominant as the University of Colorado. And we are checking now to see if they want to get an interview underway. It is pretty late at night for all of us, and yeah, we're gonna get Endure coming in here in just a couple of minutes, so stick around. We'll be finishing off our night with an interview in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to the EGFC. We are here with Endure, the captain of Colorado University. How you doing, Endure?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Hey, we're doing fantastic, and
Good to hear.
I gotta say, happy to see you getting this win. University of Colorado looking clean as ever, and I think this is my first time actually seeing you all in a long, long time. So I gotta ask, you are one of the more stable lineups in terms of the EGFC. Like, you've had the same starting roster for a long time. Do you think that lends you a certain like air of consistency that other teams don't?
It definitely helps when, especially for me as the captain, when I'm sending out, players against other players, trying to find the right matchups. It's really good to know the tools that I'm working with, the players that I'm working with. So it definitely helps me out that we have the same lineup every week, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And let me clear this fog while a user goes.
Yeah, so what about it at least that helps you guys keep it so consistent? Because sometimes I wonder when you're going into these matchups, especially when you're trying to pick, pick who goes first. What ends up kind of leading into those decisions, especially since you know who's going to be coming out.
Yeah, so I usually do scouting before we head into a match, so I know what we're up against, and then we usually just pick based on character. It's not always possible, so today we were winning a lot of sets, which is awesome, but it also means that we don't get the counter pick. But we look at the remaining players on their roster and we see, okay, who's like most comfortable against these characters. Make the decision based on that.
Mm-hmm. And we definitely did see a lot of comfort right there. And going into the end, I did want to ask, Katsuji coming out last, and I know Katsuji had played some like pretty heavily execution-based characters in terms of Sheik. I just wanted to ask, like, I know Katsuji Sheik sometimes doesn't deliver. Offline, how deadly is that Sheik?
Oh, don't even get me started. It's so sick.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Character. I mean, I play Ike. I'm super buffed on Wi-Fi. I'm also very good in our local scene, and that Sheik will tear me up. It is so good when played offline. So, he really wants to get it going online, but it's so hard. With the input delay, with the lack of hit confirms, it's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, I want to take a moment. You guys worked extremely hard for this victory, so I want to kind of know, did you feel anyone kind of stepped up today? A little love out there?
Yeah, I want to shout out Carlish. That was his second set in the EGF, and Duck Hunt is a hard matchup if you have not done it before. But he really stepped up. He took our advice after game 2, and he did very well. Or no, that was his third set. I lie, but still, he played very well today.
Yeah, it's good to see that new blood coming in. Hey, maybe that starting roster, you've still got this new blood coming in to replace you when you all graduate. But hey, here, I'm glad to see Colorado University has some longevity. But for now, thank you so much for this interview, and good luck on the rest of the season, which is closing out.
Hey, thank you so much, and y'all have an excellent night.
You too, and we are going to have a nice night because we are finally wrapping up. We have come a long, long way tonight, but it's about time for the EGFC to wrap up tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Kilo Miles. This has been User Intel, all produced by House of 3000. Be sure to check them out. House of 3000 everywhere on Twitter, on Twitch. Check them out. Some amazing Smash production all around the board. And this, like I said, this has been Kilo Miles. This is User Intel. We will see you all next week.